Hello, I'm Merlin Archery's Grizzly Jim, and today we're going to have a little look at this. This is the Olympic Premium Kit. So without further ado, let's pop this open and have a look at what's inside. Okay, so that's all this, all the stuff out of the box. So let's take a look at exactly what you get in the box when you've unpacked it. First thing to look at is probably this. Now this is the riser section, or the handle section as it's sometimes known. It's an ILF riser, which means the limbs just clip in really nice. We'll talk more about the limbs in just a second, but that's your riser there. You get a nice little accessory pack. You get your arm guard, you get your Allen key and various spanners and bits and bobs. You have a really nice fast flight string, you have your arrow rests, you have your stringer. These are the limbs. Now this, you get a really nice pair of, I quite like these limbs. These are a kinetic bamboo limbs, which do have bamboo in, which I really like bamboo. Nice, gives a nice speed to a limb. But again, these are the ILF limb, so it's a universal limb fitting, and they just clip in. But we'll look at putting the bow together in just a second. But yeah, you get a nice pair of limbs there. You get a solid carbon long rod, which goes in the front of the bow, giving you a little bit more stability. You have a quiver, obviously, to put your arrows in. You have a target style sight, a really nice comfy finger tab, and 5 Eastern aluminium arrows plus the bag. So that's pretty much everything you need to get started. You can also add a target pack to this kit should you want to, and on the website there's a little drop down that you can add a target pack to, but that is pretty much absolutely everything you get in the box. So let's look at putting this bow together. Okay, it's probably the first thing we're going to do is pop the arrow rest on the bow. Okay, so we've got the arrow rest here, just a very simple plastic arrow rest. Comes with one of these adhesive pads. So first thing you want to do is peel off one side of the adhesive pad and attach it to that one there. You can pop this little bit of foam out if you want. Now there's a hole in that to put a pressure button through, but try not to worry about a pressure button just yet. This is, you know, if you get one of these, it's probably your first foray into archery, so don't overcomplicate things straight away. Keep it nice and simple. So this has got an extra bit of plastic which works on your center shots. So yeah, don't worry about a pressure button just yet. So you've got your adhesive pad on there. You just want to line that hole up with the back hole on your riser and just press that down nice and solid, and that is your arrow rest fitted. Okay, so that is the arrow rest all put on. So let's look at putting these ILF limbs in. Now they're marked up with an upper and a lower on the label. Upper obviously always goes on the top of the bow, lower always goes on the bottom. Now you've got a little shoe there and a housing. You want to make sure that slots into there nicely and then clips into the limb pocket. Now you will notice, even though that's in there nice and secure, you have movement. Don't worry about that. That is how they work. Once the string is on the bow and it's under tension, that's not going anywhere. I know that little bit of movement does unnerve people when they're first sort of getting into it, but it's completely normal, so don't worry. So you've clipped your top limb into the top, and we're going to clip our bottom limb, or the lower limb, into the bottom, just like that. And that is how to secure your limbs in the bow. Now it's just a case of popping the string on. One of these. Now this is just a very simple tip-to-tip bow stringer. It's very similar to some of the other bows or the bow stringers that we've looked at in the past. I quite like these because they put an even bend in the bow. Unlike the bow stringers with the saddle, they tend to put sort of more pressure on one limb than the other. So these just give you a nice even bend in the bow. So without further ado, let's look at how to put your string on your bow with one of these. First thing you're going to need is the string. Now all bow strings generally come with one big string loop and one little string loop. The big string loop always goes up at the top of the bow. The little string loop always goes at the bottom. Now I'm using a traditional bow here, just a long bow or a flat bow, but the principle is exactly the same whatever bow you use. So you put the big string loop over the top, and you get your little string loop and hook that over the bottom. And that is as simple as it gets. That's the first step done. Now we need to pick up the stringer again in order to put the string on the bow. Now you get one of your little pockets here and attach that just onto the bottom limb tip. That should fit on there nice and securely. And then you feed that through and pop that onto the top string loop, like that. Now, if you hold the string with your finger there, just keeps that out of the way. All you need to do is step onto that bit of the stringer there. If you're having trouble lifting it up, if the poundage is too much or if you find it's coming up too high, feel free to just use another foot. That just takes the pressure off a bit, makes it a little bit easier to pull up. And it's just simply a case of pulling steadily and evenly up from the middle of the bow whilst pushing your string into the string groove like that, and then coming down. Also, just make sure just before you go out shooting that your string is situated fully in the string groove, so that's not going anywhere. That's just to be safe. Simple as that. That is your bowstrung using a tip-to-tip bowstringer. It's exactly the same principle but reversed to take your string off again. So you pop one little pocket on the top, another one on the bottom, and it's just a case of standing on that string again, lifting evenly and lifting that string off the groove and coming back down again, and away you go. So that is how to string a bow using a tip-to-tip bowstringer. Okay, so that is your bow pretty much all put together. You've got your string on there now. It's important when you're putting the string on just to inspect those limb grooves, just to make sure that the string is situated in them securely. Pulling a bow back without them being secure can end quite badly. But the good thing about ILF limbs is you can't really put them in backwards, you can only really put them in upside down, but as long as you look at the top and the bottom of the limb, it'll say upper and lower. Obviously upper in the top, lower in the bottom. But that is essentially all the bits put on, apart from the sight and the long rod. So we're just going to have a little look at the sight now. So this is the Cross and Scorpion recurve sight. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do to put it on is to pop on the sight block. Now there's 2 holes in there that correspond to 2 holes on the riser. So just to offer that up and then drop those screws in there using just a standard Allen key. Just screw those into the riser. Now, with any sort of screw on an archery equipment, you don't want to over tighten it too much. You want it to be tight enough that it's not going to come loose, but not too tight as to thread it or anything. Now the thing is with sights and any sort of archery, anything that's screwed in, there's a lot of energy going through the bow, so periodically you will need to go through and tighten up every little screw on the bow. That's not uncommon at all. Then you just get your T-bar with your sight block on it and just slide that into the bracket there, screw that in, and that is your sight put on the bow. So when using a sight, generally all you need to do is pop that pin in the center of what it is you're trying to shoot, and hopefully your arrows are going to go there. If it does, then your sight is in the right place. If your arrows are dropping low, then you need to bring the sight down. If the arrows are going high, then you need to move the sight up. A general rule of thumb is follow the arrows with the sight. So that's pretty much all set up. All that's left to do is pop in your long rod. Now if you look on the front of the bow, there is a nice little bushing here. All you need to do is screw that long rod into that bushing there. Be careful to try and keep the long rod nice and straight. You don't want to thread the thread on the on the long rod. But yeah, once that's screwed in, that is your bow all set up and you are ready to go and have some fun. Always remember when using a bow to use a sort of a common sense standpoint when it comes to safety. Don't shoot if there's anyone standing behind a target. Don't shoot at anything living because you can cause a lot of damage. But anyway, I hope that's useful if you're thinking about picking up one of these. It's very nearly Christmas time, so it's a really good time for people to sort of pick up their first bows and whatnot. But I hope you found that useful. You take care, shoot straight, and we'll see you on the internet. Bye bye.